This video is a quick overview of how proficiency-based, personalized learning by learning objective will work in Mrs. Landon's class this year. The classroom is set up with flex learning spaces, so whole group instruction space and collaborative space can happen in the same environment. Individual desks have been put in groups of 3 or 4 for students can sit at during lecture. When they are ready to work, they can sit at a dining table with 4 chairs, various high-top desks with bar stools, or at groups of 2 at different locations. There are also individual spaces students can work at. There's a comfy space on the floor with lap desks and comfy disc chairs in cubes for students to work at. At the onset of the course, students will identify their learning style. They will be asked to take a 20-question survey in which it will tell them if they are auditory, visual, or tactile learner. They will also reference the study tip resources for their individual learning style. This will help them better understand how they should do their learning within the FST course. Students will be using 2 different types of tools to learn in the class. At the beginning of every chapter, they will be given a note packet, which includes a blank note templates and all of the homework that they need to do for their learning. Students will then go to Schoology and use all of the resources here to help them in their learning and their assessment of the material. The curriculum on Schoology is laid out in a very similar fashion for every chapter. The blank note packet and proficiency tracker can always be found in the resource folder. Students will begin each chapter by taking a pre-quiz by learning objective for a group of sections. If they are proficient on a learning objective, then they do not have to take notes or do the daily homework assigned with it. However, if they are not proficient on a learning objective, they will find the appropriate section number and begin their learning on note-taking and doing the daily homework. After that is done, they will take a formal quiz by learning objective and reassess their new learning levels. This process will then be repeated for the next group of sections until all the formal learning is done. The chapter learning will then wrap up with a summative assessment of a chapter test and possibly a project. When a student is not proficient on a learning objective, then the learning must begin. Students will get out their note packet and begin the note process. They can either click the book notes template, which will bring them to the PDF of the electronic book. They can take their own notes on their own. Or they can choose to click a video link by each learning objective, which will bring them to YouTube and they can take notes that way. Or they can wait for whole group instruction, which will be done every day. Once their notes are completed, they'll want to begin on their daily work. They can find a hard copy of the homework within the note packets, and I highly suggest they do their work on paper. They will then come in here and click on the learning objective puzzle piece and submit their homework on Schoology. Schoology will give them immediate feedback on their grade by giving them red and green boxes and a proficiency level that was met. Students must achieve at least a 70% proficiency level by learning objective to move on to the next one. If this level is not met, they have 2 more opportunities to resubmit their homework on Schoology. If they still have not achieved the 70% proficiency level, they'll want to get some intervention and get some help from me as the teacher. Once they're ready to go back to the homework, I will unlock it and they can resubmit their answers. If students still want some more practice, they can reference the book notes, scroll down to the bottom, and find extra practice problems to try. They can check their answers on those extra practice problems by referencing this PDF of extra practice solutions. Now, if you did meet your proficiency on the first try, but you did not get 100%, you still do have 2 opportunities to improve your score to get up to 100%. The assessment of student summative learning will be taken by the way of a formal quiz by learning objective. If a student is not proficient on a learning objective by the time of the formal quiz, they will have 1 opportunity to actually retake this quiz for just the learning objectives they missed. At the end of the chapter, students will take the formal test. If they do not reach their desired level of learning on the chapter test, they will have 1 opportunity to retake the test for an improved score. Some chapters will also have a project associated with them. Many of the projects gives the students choice on if they want to do it individually, with a partner, and at times in groups of 3. Overall, the grading in this course is broken down as 10% of it is a formative grade, primarily based on the daily homework done within Schoology under the green puzzle pieces. In addition, it will include a note check for every chapter, which will be graded on how well the notes were completed. The other 90% is summative assessments. Formal quizzes will be given by learning objective and can be retakeable up to 1 time for the learning objectives that were missed. Tests are also retakeable up to 1 time for the better of the 2 scores. Some chapters will have projects which are not retakeable. For every chapter, students will track how they did their learning by learning objective. So all the learning objectives are listed. They will track and indicate what objectives they learned in their pre-quiz. They'll identify how they want to take notes on objectives they were not proficient on. They'll track the objectives that they got on their formal quiz. They have the extra practice problems associated by learning objectives to try before they prepare to retake any learning objectives missed for their quiz. Overall, this tracker will help them reflect on how they did their learning for the chapter and make any adjustments for the next chapter to come. I hope this overview was helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions.